Hey everybody, welcome back to Those Fake Nerds. Double upload today because I already had an episode scheduled about the subsidiary company formed between Ubisoft and Tencent, but there's some breaking news regarding the Switch 2. So this is from the BBC. Nintendo pulls Switch 2 pre-orders in US over Trump tariffs. Nintendo says it will no longer open pre-orders for the Switch 2 in the United States next week following the introduction of steep tariffs on exports from Japan. The firm unveiled the much-anticipated console on Wednesday, the same day U.S. President Donald Trump announced his sweeping new global tariffs. It said then that the U.S. pre-orders would open in a matter of days, but it's now been forced to revise its plans. Quote, pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in the U.S. will not start April 9th in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions, it said in a statement, close quote. It says it still intends to launch the console on June 5th as originally planned. Nintendo confirms the announcement applies to the U.S. market only, so UK pre-orders will not be effective. Tariffs are taxes charged on goods imported from other countries. Japan, where the game company is based, has been hit with a 24% tariff, cost which the firm must swallow or pass on to consumers. Trump says the global tariffs will boost the U.S. economy, protect jobs, but Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba called them a national crisis on Friday, according to local media. The government will do its utmost to respond to this crisis involving the entire country, he said. The decision may raise concerns amongst fans that Nintendo could be considering a change in prices in the U.S. The cost of the console's games have already emerged as an area of concern. On Wednesday, it was revealed that Switch 2 would cost $449 in the U.S., with a physical copy of its big game Mario Kart World coming in at $79.99, though it can be purchased for less if bought with the console. That's a $500 bundle. It's not known whether Nintendo factored potential tariffs into its original pricing, though even if it did, it's unlikely that it would have expected the rate to be as high as the 24% announced by Trump. So, already bad things happening for the video game industry off of the Trump tariffs. I think if you're in the United States, you're kind of just in a wait and see mode while the stock market tanks, day after day. It's really not fun to just kind of be, I guess, in limbo on terms of what is going to be happening for your future, quite frankly. Here's the stock market today. As of 3:21 East Coast time on Friday, April 4th. So the NYSE US 100 index down 5%, the Dow Jones down 5%, and the S&P 500 down 5% as well. Those are the big ones that we hear about as Americans to look out for, especially the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. Obviously, I'm not an economist, but even I can see this is pretty bad. And if it continues to go down in this way, I think that we're fucked, quite frankly. I think that everything is going to be looking pretty bad. Here's some more of a look at it on the US stock. See if we can do this to the last 5 days. So obviously you can see the last 5 days it's dropped off significantly. I've heard that this is even worse than the COVID impact. And what makes it worse there is I feel like when COVID happened, all the countries were not competing against each other. They were trying to make things work and get the ship righted, whereas right now, this is a trade war started for really no reason by Donald Trump. And I think that makes a lot of people nervous because, we even have Japan, Korea, China grouping together to place tariffs back on the United States. And the idea here is that we're going to get manufacturing back into the United States, but that's quite a long process, and there's really been no, movement from the Trump administration to make it easier for these companies to bring these jobs back. And oftentimes these manufacturing jobs are, you know, they pay less than the jobs that Americans are used to having. So you're going to have to convince people that, you know, the good times are kind of over in the US in that way. And you need to get a job that doesn't pay you as much as the job that you were making. And likely, if you haven't already been laid off from, are going to be laid off from. So this goes way beyond just video games, but I think for the Switch 2, what a disaster. When the price was announced, people were already like, oh, I don't know about this. And then when the game pricing was announced, people were certainly like, this is kind of bullshit. I'm not into this. Now, if these tariffs stay in place, the potential higher price, like we're looking at like what, like $600, $700 for Switch 2 for something that I think the average consumer, like leaving out the diehard Nintendo fans for a moment, the average consumer is going to be like, why do I need this? I already have a Switch that I did not pay anywhere near this amount for. So I went from watching that reveal and being like, oh, this is pretty neat, to, oh, that price is a little high, to, yeah, the Switch 2's set up to fail right now. So very unfortunate for Nintendo, very unfortunate for America and America's workers here. So please subscribe, help me get this channel off the ground, so I'm less at the whim of somebody imposing tariffs, tanking the American stock market, and preventing me from being gainfully employed. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on Nintendo canceling their pre-orders, and how much do you think the Switch 2 is going to cost should no deal or anything be put in place to bring the price down? I'm going to go 600. I was talking to a friend who said I think maybe 700. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments. I'm Brian. I'm a fake nerd, but this has been some real news. We'll see you all in the next one.